Hey, this is Mr. Buffet. Today we're going to take a look at using story maps that incorporate the different archetypal steps of the hero's journey. Let's get started. First, we have the steps. Ordinary world, the call to adventure, crossing the threshold. And across the top, we have 4 different texts, 3 of which are movies. The Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Brave, and a heroic mythic tale from Greece called the Odyssey, which we'll learn more about later. In the Hunger Games, the ordinary world starts off with Katniss Everdeen living in District 12 in Panem. Meanwhile, Harry Potter lives at Privet Drive with his nasty aunt and uncle, the Dursleys. And way over here in ancient Greece, the ordinary world, Odysseus lives on the island of Ithaca with his wife and child. So this is one example of how you could set up a story map using the hero's journey. Let's take a look at another one. Wow, this is a really nice one. It incorporates some beautiful artwork, kind of like a comic strip. And by the way, some of you are interested in doing a comic strip for your summative assessment, so pay attention to how this one's done. You can perhaps borrow some ideas. This is a story called the Jason and the Argonauts, very famous myth from Greece. In this particular rendition or version of the story, we don't have an ordinary life or an ordinary world. We start with the call to adventure. King Peleus tells Jason to seek the Golden Fleece. Then Jason meets the mentor or the helper. In this case, it's Hera, queen of the gods, who appears as an old woman. Jason crosses the threshold by getting a ship with Hera's help, and by crossing the sea is the threshold to a new world where Jason meets trials, tests, and ordeals in the face of harpies, Scylla, and sirens. These are harpies. Next, there's an approach. The Argo, Jason's ship, sails toward the clashing rocks. And at some point, there is a meeting with the goddess. Now, we haven't talked about this step, but it is part of the hero's journey, which helps me remind you that, again, not all stories have all the different steps. Some of them will have more, some of them will have less. The high point, or apotheosis, the epic battle between a dragon, Jason, and Medea. And in this epic battle, Jason wins a reward, a boon called a golden fleece, which it was what he was after in the first place. And so then there's a return home, and Jason and Medea return to his kingdom. Okay, this is the story map we're going to be using. And just like the others, we have the name of the stages over here. And I've provided a description of each stage to help you figure out where you are in a particular story that we will read or a particular story we will view. Let's go to one of our texts that I'm going to have everybody read. This one's called Jonah, and it's found in a number of different religious texts, including the Bible, the Old Testament, the Torah, and I believe also in the Quran, but I'm not entirely sure. But it's a very famous story. And so let's read it together. 2,800 years ago, everyone had heard of the city of Nineveh. It was one of the greatest and most powerful cities in the Middle Eastern world. However, everyone knew that Nineveh was a place of great evil. The citizens were famous, world famous, for being very self-centered and greedy. People really didn't care what they felt, thought, said, or did, as long as it made them money or helped them get more power. So Nineveh grew to be a place of unspeakable evil and suffering. Jonah was living in another town, enjoying a normal life. He went to work and took care of his family. He went to the temple and worshiped God. Jonah thought he was doing everything a good person should do. But one morning, Jonah heard a voice call to him. So let's stop there and let's figure out where we are in the hero's journey and the different steps. The heroes, if it's an ordinary world, the heroes begin with the normal life of boredom. Sometimes heroes are comfortable in this life, and sometimes they're quite dissatisfied. But one thing is true, they have a limited awareness of any problem in their lives or what to do about it. So if we went back to the story, there's some things here. We have, first paragraph is talking essentially about the ordinary life as it is experienced in Nineveh. And in the second paragraph, we are talking about Jonah and the normal life he's enjoying. In fact, it even says normal life. So I'm going to borrow key words and phrases from both of these different paragraphs, both of these different places and people, to describe their ordinary lives. So I started with Jonah. Jonah leads a normal life, and I put that in quotes because it's in the text, by going to work, raising a family, and worshiping God. I also didn't forget to put a citation there. He thought he was doing everything a good person should do. Okay? And Nineveh, it says in the text, is a place of unspeakable suffering and evil. And these people, they were a people who didn't care about what they thought, felt, said, or did, or who it hurt. Now, having my text, I need to now connect the stage with the text. How do I know that this is where I am in this part of the story? How does the text show you where you are in the stage? So I said the text says Jonah's life was normal. I'm pulling from the text. And then I'm also using words and phrases from the stage descriptor. People are not aware of any problems in their lives. So the people of Nineveh are just doing very nasty things, and they really don't seem to know that it's hurting God and God's angry. And if I went back to the story and I looked at the sentence, Jonah said, it says, Jonah thought he was doing everything a good person should do. Jonah thought he was doing everything a good person do. That kind of makes me think, well, maybe the author is kind of suggesting God has a plan for Jonah. God is going to put him on a path and help him consider maybe he's not doing everything a good person should do. So there's a lack of awareness. And so that's why I'm putting the people of Nineveh and Jonah were not aware of the problems God saw in their lives. So this column helps me explain how I know that this evidence is linked to this stage. And so then I would go ahead and read the rest of Jonah and see where in the hero's journey what steps are being used in this particular story. And I complete and I complete the text that way. And you're going to do this for Jonah, and I highly recommend you also do it for a story called Crow Brings Light. I hope this helps you out. Have a great day, and if you have any questions, don't forget to email me. Come see me before class, after class, before school, after school, or of course, office hours. See you later.